Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching The Echo, the information that they don't want you to know. My name is QS Yanni. Calls me Dr. Q. I don't know why, but I like it. Um, we have a fantastic program for you. We have a great uh, guest of honor on the program. Her name is Carly Mulambi. Hi, Carly. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I
I'm
know.
at, I'm at the pool, so please ignore the dogs, the kids in the background. There's a lot of
No,
people here.
we all have dogs, cats.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, I don't know what happened to my cats. I guess one of those Karens took away my cat. This is what I'm suspecting because they've been talking about Rona, and the cats could be the carrier of Rona. So I'm not surprised if I see my cat in one of the shelters.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know you from a long time ago. I know, Carly, we were petitioning against chemtrails. You know,
Yes.
if you remember.
Yes. It's been about 10 years, I think, since
Yes,
we've known
yes.
each other. Yeah.
She's a long, you know, time friend, and I know her for a long time, and she has been in the movement for a long time. Actually, you have been in the movement since you were a teenager. But
Yes.
we'll talk about that.
Yes.
Um, and people might ask, what the heck is a chemtrail? Well, chemtrail, you have to do a little bit of research, but first of all, you have to look up the sky and see those ugly lines in the sky, and sometimes they're geometrical, sometimes they're not. But the thing is, you know, the globalism and the globalists, or the one world government, actually, that is running the whole world through international agencies such as United Nations, such as Council on Foreign Relations, or even the environmental organizations. They spray our beautiful sky with lots of chemicals, such as the aluminum powder, the barium, anything that they find, even plastics, anything that they find. And especially, like, why aluminum powder? Because they believe it's going to reduce the greenhouse effect, which is, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but for God's sake, you basically, this is almost like when somebody's got a headache, they give him a medicine, then they have to give him medicine because that other medicine creates side effect. So,
Yep.
the medicine in this case is much, much more, dangerous than the problem itself, because the problem is almost natural. I'm saying almost, because if you read the geology of the Earth started with a atmosphere that had 90% CO2, and then eventually, CO2 by the plants and vegetation basically turned to oxygen that we have today. So I, I didn't want to talk about the whole thing. This show is not
No.
about that. However, I just wanted to give you a little bit of the background. How do we know each other? Is
Yep.
through that, the meetings and the activism that we had together, and it's through that.
Yes.
Fair
It is.
enough?
Yes. Well, chemtrailing definitely started my street activism. We'll
Yes,
say that.
that is correct.
Besides my personal experience, that was really the first time I got out with a group
Yes,
and went to farmers markets and, really tried to get the word out about it. So I think you're completely accurate in
yes,
mentioning that.
yes, yes, yes. And you nice people probably know I did have this, um, talk show on local channel and on public access cable, for a long time, for about 9 years,
Yeah.
and you people helped me and inspired me to go on. But unfortunately, um, the budget magically got cut
Yeah.
because we received a phone call from one of the mainstream, media people. uh, they call me the journalist ambush, and they call me unprofessional. They try to tell me, and it was actually, the show was about the subliminal messages, and also the predictive programming, and that was very interesting. Because the moment that I had this show, they never called, never ever called. Well,
Right.
phone system also was not working very well, but the moment I, aired that show, and it was a live show, I received a call from one of the major channels, Fox News, the fake news I call it. They called me and they tried to tell me that no, there is no such thing. There is no, and I'm like, what are you talking about? This is my major. I studied that. I studied that. Everybody else has studied that, but they didn't pay attention to it.
Right.
When you study the colors and what colors to use, what kind of advertisement and commercial, it's all there. You have to just
Right.
pay attention and connect the dots,
Yes,
you
you
know.
do.
So, but anyway, um, unfortunately, today we have to do the, uh, you know, um, show from my own personal studio here in Cincinnati, Ohio. However, this is kind of better because I'm not gonna be. I mean, I've never been politically correct, but I noticed like when I was working in the latest public access area, some of the producers were not very comfortable with the things that I was saying on the air, and so I want to be completely free.
Right.
As far as I know, Carly also is not politically correct. So we say whatever is in our mind. Uh, we are not necessarily in the same uh, venue. However, we work together and we have a common goal here. And the common goal is basically liberty. And
Yes.
we both believe in liberty, and that's a common theme here, common denomination here. And but liberty is a vast, could be defined in a vast, spectrum, I would say. So it has all shapes and colors, and they all are beautiful. And you know, voila, let's go. Talk to me, Carly. Tell me about a little bit about your life and how did you get involved in this, and who are you basically?
It's hard to, where do I even start? um, I guess we'll stick to the topic today at hand, which is police brutality.
Yes.
And that goes back, for me, to the day I turned 18. I was the day after, actually, I was in a car full of people that had a warrant out, and they arrested me anyway. And I didn't have anything on me. Um, they kind of made up, said that what I had was a pill bottle full of aspirin that didn't have an aspirin label on it. There was like some other things in there, some Midol, Claritin, all over the counter. And they tried to get me with they charged me with the paraphernalia. And that immediately puts a yellow tag on my name when you're pulled over and you have a paraphernalia on you. you instantly now are approached with guns.
Wow.
From that point on, there is no civil communication with the police. Once you're tagged, that's who you are. You're a criminal. And I went to jail, and my boyfriend at the time, his parents bailed me out. It was simple, like $100 fine or something stupid. They both had marijuana on them, the people that I was with, so they got charged with that. One of them had a warrant as well, and he was on probation, so back into the system with him. And it was also police out of jurisdiction. It was Cheviot and Green Township Police that came into Cincinnati jurisdiction, and this was years ago. This is when was I 18? Year 2000.
Wow.
So 20 years ago. Now they've changed those jurisdiction laws a little bit, but it's always been about ego. And that was only the first time I went to jail completely innocent. I had nothing on me. Nothing in the car was mine. The only, and they knocked me with that. They went to the station and called poison control and verified that everything that I said was in the bottle was in the bottle. There was no illegal, I don't do drugs. I never have.
Yes.
So it was just an immediate label put on me. And from that point on, it just never got any easier. I was immediately targeted. Grew up in a decent neighborhood, so I look foreign to a lot of these people around here. Talking about being biased based off of just looks, I get that. I've been called every negative slang you can think of. I'm dark, I'm Italian, I'm Cuban, I'm Cherokee. So I have all of these ethnic backgrounds, and people do look at you. And so if we're going to talk about race, which does need to be talked about on a certain note, I can't help but think of any of those situations that I experienced brutality, if I would have been dead or even worse. I suffered a miscarriage at the hand of CPD.
Oh my God.
For having, I had a little roach from a joint in my cigarette pack, and I had a warrant from something silly. I can't remember. Driving without a license or something like that, driving without a license is what has brought me into my knowledge about your entity.
Yes.
Operating under the sovereign republic that we were founded as,
Yes.
And it's just so much for me. People now that are starting to wake up, and I've told you before, it's more about learning the law. It's about having experience. Had I not experienced that at 18 years old, would I have gone through every other experience knowing like these guys are out of control? They're out of control. The way they threw me to the ground and drugged me into the car when I suffered a miscarriage. For what? For a joint? Am I a criminal? These non-violent offenses are off the and that's what you're seeing. You're seeing unarmed, non-violent offenders being brutalized by the police, not just harassed. This goes far beyond. These are military tactics.
Yes.
And what we experienced this weekend downtown, I went in with a clear head. You and I, we've been in the streets for a long time. I've got a decade on my belt, alone with 9/11 and Monsanto and the mainstream. Right after chemtrailing, I got in the streets when Mike Brown was killed.
Yes.
And then again, when John Crawford was killed, and Samantha Ramsey and Kelly, all these people, and it just never stops.
Exactly.
It's like once you think we're getting somewhere, there's another, and then another. So because we have this experience, and trusting my voice is hoarse because I was down there screaming, and I was down there protesting, and I was letting my feelings out. But at the same time, I'm there now to observe, because I've learned from a freedom point of view that not only are there infiltrators on our side of the movement, but there's infiltrators on the government side of the movement. There's police starting this. There's, the way that it's all connected to me was really weird, with the metro buses downtown.
Wow.
Waiting to pick up and drop off protesters, with the police on the roof, which is normal, right? We always have snipers.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
See them.
it's just, there's some ill communication going on here, and the way that they want us all to hate each other based on one or two things is what's dividing us at the same time. It's like it's like we're so anti-corruption that we're feeding the corruption. You
Absolutely.
know, we're contradictory in our own feelings, and I fall for it too. I fall for it too. You know, I'm down there too. I was down there till 3 in the morning, Friday night and Saturday night. I mean, you saw my live feeds, and you know, so I was downtown the first night, and then we did Clifton the next night, and then Sunday I spent my day assessing the damages. I went downtown to see what happened and where, and it just seems calculated to me. I mean, it's so, you know, and then they're trying to get you scared with all they're coming to the suburbs, and who is they? We're not going to the suburbs, you know. So this is media, you know, it's fear mongering at its finest. I mean,
Exactly.
and so because of that, it's really have a hard time connecting. You know, we all agree that something has to give. The time is now. We are in a revolutionary change, and we need to push the energy to back into our hands, right? Like you said, for liberty and for justice for all. I mean,
Yes.
we got to get these corrupt monsters out of power. I mean, where does the line? You know, where do we go?
Yes,
What do
exactly.
you say?
Exactly. I think we are at the fork in history. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And um, I've seen that myself. And when I look at what is going on, I go cuckoo, completely cuckoo, because I don't believe it. I think this is a nightmare. Somebody is going to call me, somebody is going to wake me up and tell me, hey, you know, everything is all right. You know, you just had a bad dream. It was just a nightmare. Don't worry. Because I cannot believe people cannot see this. You and I can see it, but people cannot see this. Two
Yeah,
weeks ago, we couldn't even go petition the government.
right.
They wanted to put us in the vans and just take us away, or our business owners, that 70-year-old guy, the hairdresser, got arrested for
Yeah,
opening up in Michigan,
Texas.
or all these people with the I don't know, hot dog stand, like wanted to start making some money. So what should we do? Go and beg? Like, what are we, slaves now? And then
Right.
they put us in jail. They would enforce the stupid 6 foot uh, distancing, instead of taking care of the real security, the real concern, the real threat. No, 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 no. They are not. They were not doing that. They were enforcing an unconstitutional order, which was what? Like, it's basically, you and I know, an order, needs to be legal and lawful.
Right.
Lawful, not legal, sorry. Lawful. But none of these orders were lawful. That's why they created disorder. They created anger and frustration. And to the point that I wanted to go and slap a couple of these, not necessarily cops, but I wanted to slap the definitely our rogue, unconstitutional governor. If I would have done that, and I don't care. I would have gone to prison for it, you know. But enough is
Yeah.
enough, So all of a sudden, it flips. You know that these people not are not doing anything, to stop this. Not only they're not stopping this, but also they go and glorify this crazy destructive force, and they say it's okay. They compare it to what we are doing. They're not even, they're
Right.
apples and oranges. They're not even, and I am telling you, they did that. So a person, an activist like you and me, cannot do what we were supposed to do, and we know our rights. You governments, you are not there to tell me what rights I have or not, because I was born with them.
You mentioned order. That's what we were talking about. The
Yeah.
orders that these governors are putting out. And also, America needs to keep in mind everything is different, you know, in stages of municipalities. You have the mayor, and then the governor, and then the president. You know, these federal orders are completely different, which is why there are no federal orders. There are none. And everyone wants to blame the establishment for this stuff, but this is these local sectors of government, i.e., the mayor and the governor, that are using their egotistical powers like tyranny. I mean, so these orders are offers, and you have every right to counter offer that order. Everyone needs to understand this. When they hear judge's order, your
Yes.
mind is immediately triggered to I have to do this. And so you put yourself into a state of submission to the elite, to this establishment that is telling you to do whatever it is. Okay. And if you look at the way that they're using the order, for instance, Cranley's order was from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. So anyone that was detained in Sallyport at the Justice Center, like you saw in the dozens,
Yes.
unable to use the bathroom, they were peeing on themselves, literally urinating on themselves, no water, no food,
Yes.
sleeping zip tied. They just sleep like this, zip tied, for 12 hours. You
Yes.
know, so what kind of order are we talking about here? No one there is going to counteroffer this. Oh, there's going to be lawsuits, trust me. But in the moment, after 6 a.m., it's an illegal detainee. You
Yes.
know, he's acting under what kind of control? Who is giving the people these orders? What laws are they enforcing?
Exactly.
They're here to protect and serve us. Our tax dollars pay them. What are they doing to
Mhm.
let people urinate on themselves? You know, I know for sure I got to go to the bathroom three times an hour. I've had 4 kids. You know, I
Yes.
mean, so to be holding people down there and literally stripping their basic human rights.
Mhm.
Okay, we're not talking about putting them in a penthouse. We're talking about basic human rights, being able to get a drink of water, go to the bathroom, to still be zip tied. That's brutality. That's mental anguish and abuse, and they can't separate that from protect and serve to, you know, control.
Exactly.
Um, so I think as citizens, everyone needs to take a look at what these orders are saying. They're being written by the day.
Mhm.
That's how the governor and the mayor is getting away with writing them by the day, because they know that we can counteroffer, you
Exactly.
know, upon these lawsuits that are being filed right now by the dozens. What they're going to do is get on TV and fearmonger and tell the media to tell everyone all these rioters caused so much money and damages. We need all this bailout money. But what the money's really going to go to is the settlements for the protesters. You
Yeah.
know, because they're going to hide that. They don't want anyone to know that the protesters are going to win. They're going to win their settlements. Anyone that's going to counteroffer and stand up for their rights and fight this and appeal, they're going to win. Well,
Yeah.
where's all this money going to come from? You know, it's going to be coming out of the cops' asses if they don't get their shit together. So it's going to be happening. And I mean, we are at the point where I don't even think unity is enough. I think it's awareness, it's education, it's information. Um, you know, on an individual basis. You have to individually know who you are and who they think you are, who you're operating as, and who they think you're operating as.
Exactly.
Because you and I both know it's 2 completely different people. And that's how they can get away with this, because no one really knows, you know, what
Exactly.
our entities are. And that's how you use your rights, right? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. If you don't exercise your rights, do you have any? Do you even have them? Silence is compliance. So I think every human on the planet, we've got other countries standing up for the United States right now, which also means everyone on the planet knows the kind of control that we're under right now, which they think is a free country, maybe isn't so free after all. You know, and that's, I think, that what we need to get back to, that freedom, that liberty, that justice as Americans, you know. So it's hard. It's hard to have these conversations that you and I are having right now.
Yes.
So
Exactly. Exactly. And for the people at home, you're watching the Echo and this particular uh, show program episode of Echo is about the police brutality and the difference between law, the supreme law, and legal system. Because legal system, are a bunch of codes, and don't mean anything. They're not there to protect you. They're there to protect the corporations. These little corporations known as the courts, basically, are
Mhm.
courts. Like most people don't know, they're corporations.
Yep.
They're not like the real, based on real justice system or supreme law anymore. And most people, the moment they walk into those little corporation, they agree with everything. They agree with any kind of sentence that the unjustful and lawless, judges come up with. By the way, that these judges are, almost like, the head of these corporations. They can veto, they can do whatever the heck they want. Just like recently, take a look at recently, how this arrogant judge in Texas, basically um, enforced unlawful uh, legality on this poor lady, the hairdresser,
Yeah.
put her in jail, put her in prison.
She stuck to her guns though. She stuck up for herself. Those are people, Those are the people that are making noise.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And we need to understand this. We need to understand that you are in charge, we are in charge. They're working for us, we are not working for them. And the other thing that people keep forgetting, that is about the word power. Power has been delegated. This is our power, has been delegated to them. This delegation can be canceled at any time if people realize that the governments don't represent them. They represent some other, hidden groups or interest groups. Some of them are not even in the United States. Some of them are outside of the United States of America, mostly in Europe. So people need to learn this stuff and, start taking control of their own destiny. Otherwise, you're going to be controlled. Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I said, it goes far beyond just education and experience. We have to, like you said, it's the language. There is a language of the law, and it's like a big club, and we're not in it. We're not invited to those, you know, educated parties where they're like, oh, hey, this is what this means. Just the word understand alone. When you're asked in court, do you understand?
Mhm.
You comprehended the liability of all these accusations. What they're saying is, are you standing under? You are slipping right into their jurisdiction. You just gave it to them. We have to overstand all of these things, and it's so tricky. Just like they are with all subliminal, the logos and the pictures is the same with the law. It's the same thing. Words don't mean what you think that they mean. There's definitions that are completely different in the Black's Law Dictionary. So I urge everyone to look into that. A lot of it's public information now. This is one of the things we're fighting for. That's why there's Freedom Act, so that these things aren't censored from us on the internet. And just talk to people, because everybody's got different experiences, and we all know that they're crooked, but exposing them is what has to be in place. There's got to be policies against these guys, and then that they keep getting getting rehired. So the cop that killed Samantha Ramsey years ago was just rehired last month in Villa Hills, Kentucky. They just flipped him right over the river from Montana to Kentucky so that he can go over there and murder people. You know, and it's like, what is going on the bigger picture here? Because there's these separate municipalities, they can see the cracks. You know, this has to stop. They need to be held at full accountability. Like if you or me were to jump on someone's hood and shoot them through their windshield, what would happen? They'd be pushing for the death penalty in a lot of states. You know, I mean, they're out of control. They're absolutely out of control. Ray Tenzing, he was, you know, that was a hung jury. Killed Sam DuBose. He shot him. We all watched it. He's still out free. You know, and he wasn't even CPD. He was a UC officer out of jurisdiction. He wasn't even on campus. So, you know, again, what happened? What happened? So then they misuse and mismanage these court hearings by what degree of murder, what happened, was it manslaughter, what even matters? Put them in jail. You know, I mean, give them the same thing you would give us because if you talk about the law, we are guilty until proven innocent. I don't care what anybody says. I'm an anarchist. I don't choose sides. I don't vote. I don't play the game. There is no such thing as innocent until proven guilty when it comes to citizens. But when it comes to the officers that they think are above us, they are not only innocent, they're praised. They're praised for their job. You know, it's just a couple bad apples, just a few of them, you know, and it's just like, well, use that same analogy with the protesters. Why are all protesters rioters and looters? If that's the case, all cops are bastards. You know, I mean, it's real simple. And people disconnect literally based on emotion. And this is what has to stop. It has to stop. We need policy in place. That has to go by more than what we're doing in the street. Absolutely make noise in the streets. I'm there in the streets too. We need something that's going to follow all of this. What are we going to do? Because in 2 months down the road, it's going to be another cop. That's what we've seen for the last 10 years that I've been in the streets. It's one after another, you know? And it's not always shooting, what we just saw with George Floyd. I mean, what we saw with Kelly Thomas, Eric Gardner, you know, they're being suffocated. Like, this is not just, so they can't justify, he pulled his weapon because he thought he was in fear for his life. Well, was he in fear for his life? The 9, 10, 12 minutes that it's taken to kill these people? Are they fearing for their lives when 4 officers are with them? I mean, these are the questions we need to be asking. And, you know, all these statists, they don't care. They don't want to hear it, you know, and it goes on both ends. It goes on both ends. And it's not just one side or the other. It's a lot of people are lost right now. And on the contrary, I think a lot of people are waking up. I'm so proud of what has been demonstrated this last week. I am so proud to see the steps that are being taken, and I mean psychologically with everything, anger, you know, with built up angst and anxiety, with race, with brutality, with government control, tyranny, all of it. I think everyone's in the streets for a different reason, and that's really what needs to be noted. How are there so many people there? You know, they're not all there for the same reason, although the media wants us to believe that they have an agenda. They do not. Everyone is there differently, which is also what separates us, because there's some groups of people, you know, militia operatives and such, that don't want to be associated with us anarchists or anons or whoever, you know, it be, because of the message that the media has portrayed us as, you know. They want us divided by all means possible. By all means possible. And they're going to use they've been planning this for a long time. They are experts at pulling us by the heartstrings. And I have to even look at myself, you know, my own sanity, because here I am calling all these people puppets. And I have to question whether I'm being pulled, whether I'm attached. Do I have strings emotionally? Do I have strings based on my own experience of what Is it hatred from me? What do I really want? And everyone, I think, needs to question these things on a personal basis. It's individual responsibility. If everyone has that in this country, it would be a completely different day and time than it is now. I think we're regressing. We're not progressing in the right direction. We went back down the other way, and it's like, let's move forward. We need to stick to getting our country back in our hands, a real for the people, by the people, establishment. And how is that going to happen? How can it even happen with two parties? I mean, you have to ask yourself that too. This is more than all the other division that we're suffering. We're divided by more than class, by more than race and profiling. We are divided by the choices that we make, and that's dangerous. Because I know a lot of intelligent, awake, and aware people on both sides. But this is why I stand by true freedom. This is why I'm an anarchist. I personally, and I know you and I may disagree on this,
Yes.
I personally don't think voting is going to do anything until 9 million people stop voting and they still have 9 million votes to mysteriously account for.
Yes.
That, I think, will show the people that once you register, registration is dangerous. You're giving these people your ballot.
Yes.
It doesn't have to have your name or your choice on it. You've registered. That's all they need. Mm-hmm. And it's not just with voting. It's with everything. Think about everything in your life you have to register for. They have complete control, and they want it.
Yes.
So until you pull away from this two-party system, of which wings are on the same bird, by the way, I don't think we're getting any traction. So what do we do? I mean, where do we go from here? How do we help each other? How do we help ourselves help each other?
Yes, absolutely. So yes, you're absolutely right, Carly. And even though I'm not a classical anarchist, but I'm a little bit anarchist, when it comes to producing my own food. I'm an anarchist. I drink raw milk. I have chickens. I wish I could keep some sheep or something like that, but I can't because I live in the city. But I love to have my own vegetables, and I don't want to be dependent on Kroger's or Whole Foods or anybody else, these big corporations, these mega corporations, I should say, that are going viral, just like virus. They're the virus of our community, because one of the things that I think happened right now, to think about it, what kind of recipe do you have? It's a recipe for disaster. You have this stupid social distancing, the fear mongering news about a virus which is not more dangerous than a common flu. Then you have unemployment, you have house arrest. Don't call it, lockdown, it's house arrest. And you have these cops, these corporation cops, that policemen, that, okay, I know my father used to be a cop. My father was undercover cop, and also intelligence officer, but the stuff that he did, you're going to be very surprised. He gets very angry. He watches, like, time to time, a show, like, or maybe the show Cops. He gets very angry. He says, like, why are they doing this? You don't need that many people to arrest one person.
Right.
And he says, this is just like one of the movies. This is not a movie. This is real life. You're not going to create hype. But apparently, we have very ill-minded people on the top who are addicted to chemicals, adrenochrome. We just realized that, it was a conspiracy until we are getting the news. That's why they're doing these things. And then
Exactly.
under them, uh, we have basically security guards who are hooked and addicted to adrenaline, because adrenochrome and adrenaline, they're very, similar
Hmm.
chemically to each other. As a matter of fact, adrenochrome is an oxidized adrenaline. And so we have people who are addicted to these things and create, hype. And for what? Like for creating security. So we had this recipe of creating basically everything that you need for a chaos and a disaster. You make
Yes.
people angry about, oh, why you're like you're pulling out people from bus, from metros, from subways, from this and that, for not wearing masks, as if they have done anything criminal or unlawful, you know, and you don't even listen to our doctors. How many doctors, real doctors, not TV doctors, not the fake news doctors, how many real doctors who work at ERs, you know, told us, hey, the whole thing is as normal as if we have a flu season. We do have flu season every year, and there is no difference between this one and the other one.
Right.
And but ignoring them, ignoring statistics, ignoring common sense, ignoring basically, science, even the science that they taught us at school, even that science, which is like more like a pseudoscience, especially when it comes to medical science. I studied, film and media and philosophy. However, because of what happened to me, I got assassinated, and I got poisoned, and so on and so forth. I've been a big, big, basically researcher on holistic medical science. So when I studied, I realized, oh my God, what they teach them at school, at the medical school, is not even science anymore. And the more, like you said, we are going ahead instead of progressing, we are digressing, and then instead of evolving, we are devolving, and this devolution, happens by the second. Now nobody believes in binary genders, man and women. They believe in 76 genders. That's okay. If you want to make your opinion, I'm okay with that. But don't go and teach that at school. This is dangerous. You
Yes.
then have to come and say to that professor, show me a picture of, okay, because we have two sexual chromosomes like XX and XY. Show me a picture of the XZ chromosomes under the microscope, and then I shut the hell up. But they haven't done that because there is no such thing. And then they explain something else, and then they send me a picture of broken chromosomes, XX chromosomes. Like, no, 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 no. This is basically XX is just broken because of the mutation. This is very different than exist in a new strand of chromosome. So, and then you're dealing with that role that don't believe in it, and they, why? Because they created this. They created this chaotic thing. I know that this is not a show about conspiracy theory, but some of these conspiracy theories that you thought in the past that they were conspiracy theories, today they're what? Conspiracy fact. For instance, smoking, I'm not looking down at the smokers. I'm just saying For how many years, even doctors would come and say, actually, smoking is good for you, you know? And we still have the commercials, black and white commercials from, I don't know, 40s, 50s. They were talking about the smoking is, there is no evidence that the smoking is bad for you. And then how many people had to be disappear? How many doctors got killed, you know, to prove that, you know, it was not a conspiracy, it was a scientific fact. Now, the same thing is happening, you know, and I want people to understand. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and you know, wanted to know your opinion about, is about you know, the 14th Amendment.
Oh, yeah, that's the wrong one.
You know, I personally think that we have to basically make people understand what is the difference between the citizen and we the people. Why we keep talking about the people and not citizenship. I wanted to ask you about that.
Okay, that's a sticky subject. Okay, so basically, the 13th Amendment says involuntary slavery.
14th Amendment, yes.
Well, yeah, we'll talk
Oh, the
about. We'll go,
13th Amendment. Okay,
we'll
never.
go back to the 13th. Yeah, so
Yes.
involuntary,
Sorry.
right? If it's voluntary, does that count?
Mm,
So this is what Americans need to be asking themselves.
yes.
If you voluntarily become a citizen under their jurisdiction, what are you? So that's what everyone needs to, we need to make this disconnection, because I'll tell you right now, it's not human. It's not human. There's a big difference. And this is what hurts my heart when people want to use our historic documents in defense. They don't really know what it says, right? I mean, so citizenship just put us all under this illusion that we're free. And it sounds good, right? I mean, it really sounds good to be a part of this club, to be free, to be on paper. I mean, that's important too, right? Because this is something that our natives fought for and fought against,
Yes.
was to be on paper. I'm Italian. A WAP, you know, that's a slang towards us, which stood for whip out your papers. My grandparents went through that. They were told, let me see your papers.
Wow.
Here on American soil, you know, so that's something that's completely ignored. Are we going to go back to that? Because that's what we're under.
Mhm.
That's what they ask you in court. Are you a citizen?
Mhm.
And you say yes.
Mhm.
You're telling them, I am under the citizenship of slavery. I am under your elite control. When the pyramid's upside down, I own you.
Mhm.
You know, and that, I mean, it's hard to tell them. How do you tell them that? How do you tell them that you own them when they're the ones on the other side of the bench? You know, I mean, there's that. You can't tell them that. You're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist. You don't love this country. You know, you're all these things. And it's the complete opposite. It's because I love this country, because I want this freedom, because I'm trying to, you know, make people aware of all these things happening, that we cannot worship this Admiralty flag and all of its generals.
Mhm.
And that's what's happening. You know, this is not what it was supposed to be. Peace was never declared in this country. You know, we are still at war with each other.
Mhm.
And I just don't think, like I said, I think now we're regressing. People need to understand what you are as a citizen. It's not the freedom that you think you are. You know, your name in all capital letters, which is what's on your ID,
Mhm.
your social security card, everything you need your ID and your social security card to get, i.e. registrations, your house, all these things. You cannot do it without that, without that proof of birth, without that certificate registrar. That's what it is. It's a registration of birth.
Mhm.
and your tax number, which is your social security number. That's what they go by. That's your bond. You know, that's the number that's attached to you for life. That's how they make exchanges using you as chattel property.
Mhm.
Your taxes are paying off the debt that they're never going to get out of. It's fake. It's an illusion of, you know, and they keep, oh, trillions of dollars, trillions of dollars. That's just to keep us under control. You
Yeah.
know, no sovereign nation is in debt. Come on, guys. What sovereign nation is in debt? None. There isn't. It's fake. It's all fear mongering. It's an illusion to get you right where they want you. To
Mhm.
think that you got to jump through hoops to ask for your rights. What? You got to register your gun to use it? Are we asking for permission? Are we? What's going on here? You know, so we need to do a lot. We got a lot of work to do. You
Exactly.
know, boots on the ground right now is a good start. It's a good start. I do think all these officers and stuff kind of showing their compassion is just a part of the show. I'm not buying it. I'm
Mhm.
not buying it. You know, it's all or nothing with me. There is no picking through the crowd to see which ones are bullshit and which ones aren't. I don't know 10 people that can keep their mouth shut about something.
Yes.
So some of these cops need to start saying something. Some of these court, I mean, you saw what they did to Tracy Hunter, you know, when she tried to speak out against CPS. That was the same thing that I was doing. I mean, they flipped that script completely the opposite way. But she was fighting for fairness and freedom. The same thing that I'm saying. What CPS does, they're kidnappers. You know, they're not
Oh
doing their
yeah.
job. They're not doing what they're supposed to
Exactly.
do.
Thank you for mentioning the kidnappers. Yes, exactly. They don't arrest you; they kidnap you. Yes.
Yeah, they do. And they do it to children and adults, and you know, which like I said, what happened at the Justice Center? They were kidnapped. I mean, that's what they did. They rounded them up, stuck them on a metro, got their pictures for the media to calm down the sheep in the sheep neighborhoods just watching TV, and they left them there.
Yes.
You know, so what we need to be asking as taxpayers is who's going to pay the settlement? We are. That's a problem. I don't think any of those people that were calling those protesters rioters and looters said that they got what they deserved, that they're just trying to deserve. I don't think any of them would feel that way if they really knew that they were going to pay for for their victory.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I mean,
It's
tell
not
every
their victory. This is the elite victory. This is the pedophile elite victory. This is not our victory, because
right,
most of these people, um, if they were there, they knew what was going on, and you were there. They were not there. The difference is they were not there, and you were there. You saw it. Yes, of course, there were looters. Yes, of course, there were infiltrators, and yes, of course, there were foreign hands involved. Even communist China, this, that. Yeah, but there were grassroots people like you and like me. When I was just think about it, what media called us. They called us bunch of zombies.
right,
Were we really zombies? That zombies usually are people who have they're just walking around like blind people, no question asked. They don't have any kind of willpower of their own. They don't have the freedom of choice. They just follow orders and attack anyone that their overlords would say. Were we the zombies? Does this describe us? You know,
right.
but it didn't. But they just start name calling, and the same thing with the rest of the movement. That's the sad thing today. About our situation. If you are not in this group, that group doesn't care. If you're not a Catholic, the Protestant doesn't care. If you're not a I don't know, Jew, the Muslim wouldn't care, and so on and so forth. But the fact of the matter is, they set us against each other from day one. From the moment that the British Empire left, they didn't really live like that. They, first of all, they left pieces and parts, from the old corrupted, administration in our new born government, number one. And then they keep sending these, people, after that, John Adams go and, sort of like, you know, sign a treaty, you know, with a, peace treaty between England and
Yes.
United States. They send these people from that day. They send all these different people with a smile, big smile, and big, you know, basically enthusiasm towards this new nation. But deep down, they want this colony back. They want this colony back. They want it so, they want it back so badly that people cannot imagine.
No.
Let's take a look at what happened, shall we?
Right.
All these, Russia collusion and stuff like that. Guess who was doing this dossier? Like, guess who was collecting information? MI6. Everything that recently we saw, if you follow the breadcrumbs, you ended up in England. So, not Russia. I'm not saying I don't trust Russia, but I'm just saying, I'm not advertising for Russia.
Right.
I think Putin. Most people say, oh, but he's Christian, blah blah blah. Putin was the former KGB, head of KGB. A KGB, a CIA is always CIA. So is a KGB. A KGB is always a KGB. Because my father was in intelligence. I have problem believing that Putin was a nationalist and a Christian and he fooled the communists. I have problem. Maybe he was able to fool the machines, the lie detector machines, but he had a hard time, fooling the, human lie detectors, unless if he is the system, which I think he is the system,
Yeah.
he just has a new and different mask on. But honestly, the old empire wants us back, and that's why they got us. If you go to any show on the media, they have this, kind of wise, you know, guy with British accent, either accent, he or she is either the, the showman, the show person, or,
Mhm.
they bring someone from England to teach us, about the danger of the guns, and we saw that we need to be completely armed. I mean, AR-15 is a small gun. We
Yeah.
saw that. If here's the thing, if the store owners in downtown or in the cities, basically, they were armed and ready, this would never happen. This would never ever happen. And I just had a clip from a small town in Indiana. You know, basically they were armed and ready, and these looters didn't get inside of that town, and they just walked away.
Yeah.
But what do they do? Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to say something. You don't know that these police departments are basically enforcing the policies. They're not enforcing the law. They keep saying law and enforcement, law and enforcement.
Right. Right.
Actually, the only constitutional, protection department in your county is your sheriff department. So,
Yes.
you know, that's the thing
Yes.
people don't know.
No,
And
they
they
don't.
glorify these, security guards. They're glorified security guards, and they have the brain of, I don't know, like, many of them are not very intelligent,
Right.
and basically no education, no psychological education. There is no program to teach them, how to interact with someone. Number one, and take a look at our so-called justice center, which I call it injustice center. You know, the prison system. It's a corporation. It's for-profit corporation. Ben Swan had a show on that. I thank Ben Swan from here. He's a fantastic journalist. He taught me so many things about journalism. But uh, these are corporations. The prison system is a corporation. They're making money, billions of dollars from us, we the people, the taxpayers. And what do they do in the prison? They're not really teaching anything. They're creating monsters out of what? Out of someone who had like what? Like maybe a joint or
Yeah.
maybe a minor uh, problem. I mean, maybe he had a rough day. Maybe he has been unemployed. Maybe,
Right.
okay, I'm not saying this guy should go around and shoot people, but I'm talking about these minor crimes. They send this guy to these prisons for profit, which has their own hierarchy inside. And ladies and gentlemen, the amount of drugs that are being sold and carried inside of the prison is more than what is going on outside of the prison. You're not going to believe it. Who let it happen?
I know.
Who let it happen, right?
Yeah, the corrections officers are letting it happen. It's sneaky. The most time I did in county jail was 42 days straight, and I learned a lot. That was another time I was there for something I didn't do, and because I worked in good restaurants here, I really had built a clientele of customers, and one of them happened to be a police chief in Green Township, and he gave me a good number to a good lawyer, and because of that I got out. But I was still there for 42 days for something I didn't do again, and so you start to see these patterns, and they treat you like a criminal. They don't care what you're there for. Actually, there was a girl that I roomed with. I'll never forget this girl. She had just turned 18 years old. She was enrolled to enlist into the Army, something that her parents really persuaded her to do.
Mhm.
And when it was go time, she chickened out, and she didn't want to go. Because she was already enlisted, they threw her ass in jail as a violation and insubordination against the government.
Wow.
She's facing felony charges for signing up to go and changing her mind.
Wow.
When you're 18 years old, you have completely different outlook on things than you do 10 years down the road from that, and even 10 years more down the road from that. These are fragile minds, and that's really the point, to recruit them when they don't know any better. So the fact that, and this poor girl, she was terrified. I mean, I felt so bad for her, and it's like that. It's like what you're saying. What law is that? What laws are they enforcing? And so let's get into the word law, because we're talking about triggers and subliminal messaging, right? The word law in itself is a trigger.
Yes.
You got people out there, oh, it's the law. It's the law. They're half the problem, because the law is what? What is a law? It's contracts.
Yes.
I don't know anybody on the planet that would sign a contract that they don't agree with.
Exactly.
That's going to put their life on the line for a piece of paper that they do not want to abide by. That's what a law is. Everyone here needs to understand that. You get these stupid people, like when they don't shovel their sidewalk when it snows, and you get the neighbors out there like, it's the law.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, do you want to shovel my sidewalk for me? Like, is it that big of a deal? Come knock on my door before you waste my tax dollars, the police resources, their time, their money, their beat cops. So then because of that, the mentality has been, widespread in these communities with these beat cops, that stupid shit like that is the law.
Yeah.
Parking in front of a meter when the meters run out. Is that a crime? Like, come on, what are we looking at here? We've got these ridiculous ordinances and orders that mean nothing.
Exactly.
They only mean things to the people that are not on an individual level. And I'm going to be honest, as it's hard.
Yes.
It is hard to become a individual. And I hate the word sovereign. I really do. I don't like using it, People misuse it. I'm not sovereign. I am a free inhabitant of this land, of the Republic of Ohio. That is where I am. That is where I reside
Yeah.
as. I am, a human. I don't go by any of those labels.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I'm a man. I'm a woman. Yeah.
exactly. What, even those are labels, right? I mean, we're all feminine and masculine. We have all these things. Nobody's looking at the energy of things.
No.
Really taking the time to get deep and meditate and looking at all these other things because we're so divided, like you said, by labels. A Christian will never look into Buddhist beliefs. A
Yes.
Catholic will never look into what the monks were doing, even though that's what Jesus did.
Yes.
He traveled the world as
Yes.
a monk. I
Yes.
mean, they
Exactly.
won't even. They can't. And even beyond that, we slap these labels on ourselves, right? People that are felon. Oh, I'm a felon. So what's that stop you from? A job? Oh, I've got depression. I'm ADD. I am this. I am that. I'm white. I'm all these things are divisive. All of them, all the way from our mental issues to what's on the outside, our skin color, and we do it to ourselves. We
Exactly.
do it to ourselves. It's not just from outside influence. We are allowing the outside influence to influence us. We have become the audience, the spectators of this shit show of a circus that they call freedom. And that's not what it is. That's not what we're under. We got to pull ourselves out now. We really need to, what me and you are doing right now needs to be done because this takes us outside of that little 1,500 word limit in the stupid text boxes where no one can see your face, what you mean, your attitude towards things. Nobody really gets they think I'm a conspiracy theorist about everything just because of my words, and they can't hear my tone of voice. They can't hear the passion, the dedication, the awakened awareness that I'm trying to push. So even by what we think is good here on this little device in social media, it's divisive. It's also divisive in itself.
Oh,
We got to talk to each other. We
absolutely.
got to get boots on the ground. We got to meet one-on-one and do what we're doing right now and get the shit on video, full-length conversations. Who cares what YouTube and Facebook wants? They want 15-minute conversations because it keeps the attention of the Americans. Well, what does that say? If our attention span can't even go beyond listening to each other for more than a half an hour, we're broken. Something's
Exactly.
wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Crazy.
I had a friend on my show actually. Not this show. The show was in Persian, and he's an Iranian guy, but he grew up in United States since childhood, and you know, and he's an expert in AI, artificial intelligence, and he predicted today the zombification of the masses. He studied artificial intelligence, the effect of wavelength of the cell phones, and how cell phones are designed to become a part of us. You have seen people losing their cell phones and they go cuckoo, they go nuts. Well, it's totally, they don't know. It increases the dopamine in their brain when they tweet something, or they post something, or
Yes.
when and even the way that you touch it. And today our cell phones work with our fingerprint also. I mean,
I know.
forget about the security that was very important to people at some point, at least American, the forefathers, basically it was important to them, but not
Right.
to their children anymore. They give out their fingerprints, I don't know, the facial feature, everything. So he studied that, and he I don't know if I'm a media person. I studied film and media. If I watch something, like for instance in case of George Floyd, and I'm trying to make a movie, I don't know if the alleged person was murdered or not, but there are lots of discrepancies in the whole stories, and even in the movie. and my eyes automatically catch these things. This is, what I do. But in the movie Kingsman, it was very interesting because a part of this was kind of hijack this because what they do, they kind of feed you with predictive programming and kind of desensitize you. Because what do you say? Because you see that in a movie, and unfortunately in United States people think movies are just for entertainment. But I like it when what Soviets called cinema, it was a part of their department or ministry of education, because you educate,
Right.
program people to think the way you want. And but going back to the movie Kingsman, showed this philanthropist, they always are philanthropists, globalist, was giving out free cell phone to everyone. And everybody was praising this guy. And this guy was a psychopath. He's
Yeah.
a total psychopath. He wants to kill 90% of people because he believes that we are a threat to this planet. I mean, in a way we are, but not to the point to kill us.
Right.
How about little education? How about
Right.
creating something, a safe environment that everybody can compete, that not couple of monopolies take control of the society. I always say John D. Rockefeller, uh, competition is sin. He said, it was a joke, but I don't think it was a joke. They mean it. And
Yeah.
we're going towards that
Yeah.
direction. That, what happened during the pandemic? What happened? The mom and pop stores were closed. Somehow
Yes.
Walmart was open.
Yes.
Amazon was giving everything.
Yeah.
It was okay for Amazon, this globalist company, to basically swallow the mom and pop companies, and or stores. And look at them now. Even
Right.
today, they say the same thing. They don't care,
No.
they don't care what is going on with me, for instance, or with that old lady who had probably a beautiful beauty shop or so as you can see, I think people need to get involved. People need to have open houses, go to your house, to each other's house, and do meetings like this, even if it is on Zoom or Skype or whatever, and talk about these things. Talk about what is the goal of a society. What are we here to do? I mean, are we here to just obey and blindly say yes to everything that we see, or we are here to live free and with dignity, and speak out your mind, because I'm seeing not only the mainstream news is like censoring us, but we ourselves censor ourselves too. We don't say things anymore, because we might hurt someone.
Right.
Everybody is a snowflakes today. I don't
Right.
care how big you are. Everybody, you hurt someone, you know,
Yeah.
and everybody is kind of upset about these things. But I myself catch myself time to time. I do the same thing. However, what all I'm saying is that we need to break that pattern. And my friend was talking about this AI system that, wow, I'm seeing it now. And what if even that stupid governor doesn't know that he had been handled by AI, because what AI system does, they take over first the weakest links.
Yeah.
And these are people with these are the weakest links people, the governors and government people, the generals, because they're consumed by ego. They're exactly ego. Because
Right.
if, a human being, you know, uh, doesn't basically listen to the reptilian brain, we are Homo sapiens, we're mammals. We are beyond reptilian reactionary brain, the brain that creates jealousy, wars,
Yeah.
this, that. We are supposed to think. I think, therefore I am, but I don't see it. I don't see it in the society. How about that? What do you think about the critical thinking? And
Yeah. We've
don't you
shifted.
think it should
We've
be
shifted
teach?
that, I think, to I am what you say I am,
Yes,
and it's really dangerous. We've become dependent. So, in correlation with everything you just said, we're so dependent. I mean, on everything. I literally argued with a friend for over an hour on the phone about Kroger. This was the second day of the protest. He was literally telling me, I'll try to come in Kroger. There's people, and it's like, dude, you're talking about a corporate hag. Kroger, who's putting these small business markets out of business. Tell me that you're going to go stand in front of Findlay Market. I will back you that.
yes,
I will support you then. Tell me that you're going to go stand in front of all these rural farms in Indiana and
yes.
Kentucky and support them. I don't want to hear shit about Kroger that don't care about me, you, their employees. They don't care about the food that they're peddling out. They don't care about their Monsanto supported bullshit
Yes.
and their corporate funding towards, they don't even care what they're feeding our kids. But people,
Yes.
oh my God, don't take my Kroger. And it's like, grow your own food then. You can't even stop the conversation there. This is what I mean about how divided we all are in all aspects. You can't even tell someone to grow your own food. That's offensive. That's offensive to these sheep. Grow your own food. Quit being lazy. And if you are too lazy to grow your own food, support small businesses. People like me that got beehives in my backyard, that have chickens, that are selling their eggs, that are growing my own food, which to me is a personal level for my 4 children, including my autistic son, so that he gets clean, non-Monsanto funded, non-GMO,
Yes.
real organic food. I know where it's coming from. They have nothing on it.
Mhm.
But these people are so gone. We're talking about Walmart, Kroger, Target, what? AutoZone. Let's even talk about AutoZone. Where am I going to get my car parts from? The mechanic down the street?
Mhm.
The guy that's been struggling his ass off for 40 years, living in the same community as you, your neighbor.
Yes.
That's who you're going to get your car parts from. Who am I going to get my food from? Your neighbor.
Yes.
My aunt, we used to cut my hair when I was little. My cousins, you know what I mean? But that's illegal,
Yeah, I know.
according to them. You have to be licensed to cut some. You can't even cut your own family's hair. I am illegally bartering in the black market when I give my parents tomatoes. What? Like, this is psychotic. It's such of a deep illusion that when you keep people on the service based on race, based on hatred,
Yes.
nobody sees what's really going on. And we're talking about a corporate takeover here. What happened to that hairdresser that we're talking about was to shut people down like her.
Mhm.
She was very clear in saying, we have gone from 21 employees to 2.
Exactly.
You're separate on
That,
opposite sides of the shop. And what we were talking about, like you said, a common cold. So, I mean, we can keep going down these roads of, is this real or is it not? And the end game is that, no, it's all corrupt. Those people that are saying it's not all corrupt are same as the bad apple people. There's just a few bad apples. There's not all bad apples. And then you got it's not all corrupt. Yes, it is. It's all corrupt. The medical field, the food industry, our government officials, it's all corrupted. It is all in the wrong hands,
exactly.
under control of the crown. This goes outside of the United
Yes.
States
Yes.
to elite
Exactly.
families, right? I mean, these people who You hear their names: Rothschilds, Rockefellers, the royal family. You
Yes.
know, look what they did to Princess Diana. I
Yeah.
mean, because she was outspoken. It's just, and what they're trying to do to Prince Harry right now because he's outspoken. I mean, it's just craziness. It's control. What is it? Egotistical, adrenochrome fueled
Yep.
power. That's what they want. Power over all. And like you said, why is it making profit off of evil things when Monsanto could save the world?
Yes.
They could stop world hunger. You could use GMOs and hybrid crops to help people.
Yes.
Why aren't you? You don't have to make money killing us.
Yes.
You can make money putting out a positive message for
Exactly.
things like that. You know, the medical field could save lives. They're taking them instead. My grandma was a victim of malpractice. She went in for an on a routine operation and they killed her. I was, 8 years old, and so it's like what's happened. And her own colleagues. She worked with those people, by the way. She worked in the hospital. So it's just major neglect, uneducation. These people, even based on money, is the money even that good anymore to get into these professions? What are they doing it for? It's for the badge. It's
Yes.
for nothing but the badge and the title, and teachers. Teachers are making nothing. They're making squat out here. They're the ones educating our children, and we pay people murdering people in the streets more than the
Absolutely.
ones that we are letting educate our children by state curriculum, by the way. We're paying for it. We're fueling it. We're funding it. And then we applaud it, when something good happens. We're blinded. You know,
Exactly.
we got to get back to our founding ideologies. And I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure the founding fathers were anarchists at
Oh,
heart.
absolutely. No, no. I totally agree. I totally agree. This, our U.S. Constitution is the closest thing to the, basically political anarchy, because what do they say? Anarchy means what?
No rulers.
Anarchy, the rulers. We are against the rulers. And they said, like, enough is enough. Why even in the whole world Americans came to America in the first place? They were just
Right,
tired of these rulers, the
right.
oligarchs, the aristocrats, those who think that they're special. But in a land of wine, a one-eyed guy is a king. It's not because they know better or work better. It's because we stoop down so much for so long, they really think they're something. They're nothing. Because people need to wake up and realize that they're everything. But it's just like that guy who's sitting on the treasure, in maybe in a poor house or something, and beg for money, beg for food. You idiots, do you know you're sitting on treasure? That treasure chest is yours. But people don't believe that. If I point that out, they say, you're a conspiracy theorist. How come my, father didn't know that? Like, we have been like this for generations. Like, I'm
Right,
saying, it doesn't matter. Just take a look.
right.
And then they don't want to even look. You
They
know,
don't.
it just reminds me of the scene from, and sometimes you have to slap them and punch them in the nose, because that's hurtful. That's why we are, outcasts. It reminds me of the scene in the movie They Live. When this other guy wanted to show his friend, the construction worker, what the classes that they're in do, and he didn't want to see it, and he started beating the heck out of this guy. And then finally, after like the both are technically, dead, finally he saw it. He saw what his friend saw. So it's the same process. You
Yeah.
have to, do it, and we have been doing it. We talk about Monsanto, we talk about, even the pesticides that, creates gender benderism, and this. poor black professor. I forgot his name, but he, I guess his first name is Tyrone, Dr. Tyrone something. I forgot his last name, but Dr. Tyrone, you can find it. Basically, he realized, he was studying, pesticides and herbicides for a company, and during this research, he realized, and at first he was very neutral about it. He's a scientist. He's a very neutral guy. He's a balanced guy. And then he kept studying and studying, and the findings show that, oh, holy crap, the frogs of this pond that in the golf course, most of them, after a while, after they use the pesticides and herbicides and stuff like that, they basically turn feminine, the male frogs, and after a while they become completely female, and they even lay eggs. So
Wow.
so the company that gave him this mission, first they actually read the studies and discoveries, and they're like, oh, okay, now how about you go and write this? We know that, well, that's interesting. Excuse me. But how about if you go and write this that we want? And says, how about I show you the finger? I'm a scientist. I cannot make up data and statistics. It is what it is. Even I didn't know that. And I wouldn't believe that these chemicals would do that to frogs. Now I have another thing want to say, and that is, not only I'm not gonna change my report, but also I'm going to add another report that the connection and correlation between human being also being affected by these chemicals. And yes, of course, the using these chemicals has consequences. For thousands of years, we have been doing farming. We have been, working on our cattle. We have been working on everything. But this is the first time humanity, just uses the magic quick pill. Everything is quick. Okay, I'm hungry. Go and get it from a window in your car.
Right.
Oh, I'm out of the money. Go and get it from the tube in your car. Everything should be quick. If when I studied, my studies in cinema was mostly documentary. Documentaries, I could sit and watch a documentary for 3 hours straight. But why? Because, well, my brain being trained like that. I train my brain to do that. But I cannot show a movie, a slide, small, uh, you know, clip to a young man or a young woman for 10 minutes. For 10 minutes. Who did that to them? The media. The media. Even the games in this country is like that. People want to see scores. That's why they don't watch soccer. They say it's too boring, you know, because they don't see the scores. They want to see the scores right away. They want instant karma. They want to see instant karma. We want to see the instant karma.
Yeah.
If somebody cut us out, like, in the high,
Right.
get into a car crash, or their, car breaks down, you're gonna get, see what happened to you. I mean, it could be that, but I try not to do that, because I said,
No,
you know,
I think it's way deeper than that. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, being on the surface, right? We've got all these labels. Now we're all divided by all these labels. And now it's not just one thing or the other, it's multiple things. And that's to keep us divided multiply. I mean, so that everyone has their own group, but even more at that, pay attention to the hormones that they're putting in the food,
Yes. Yeah.
because we have to listen to both sides. We're never, this is one of those, I'm glad you're bringing these things up, because this is another one of those conversations that's so hard to find even the middle balance, with no discriminatory assumptions.
Yes.
So they're putting hormones in things, and in high doses from the formula. We'll start it with the baby formula in the very beginning.
Yes.
They're pumping it and pumping and pumping and pumping. So you have the excuse of people that feel differently, that say, I was born this way, I cannot control it. And you know what? They're 100% right. I
Absolutely.
stand
I
by
agree.
that. I will stand by that for my life.
Yes.
But can you explain to them that they may have possibly been the victim of
Yes.
government interference?
Yes.
Can you tell? Are they going to believe that? They're not, because this is how they separate what our heart feels from
Yes.
what our brain knows.
Mhm.
Okay, and they're not the same, and but they should be a little bit. And then there's that balance of,
Balance.
we have to
Yes.
find this mediation somewhere
Absolutely.
with, let's stop pumping the food full of hormones. You've got the chickens that they can harvest now in 42 days, or in 32 days instead of 42 days, or now in 20 days instead of 40 days, and you've got cows used that are just used for the milk, pumped with hormones.
Exactly.
Not only that, but they're pumped with corn, with
Yes.
GMO feed.
Oh, yes.
Cows eat grass. I mean,
Yes.
do we have to go back to second grade, people? We all know that this is it's a, I don't even know what to call it. It's like mass genocide, but
As
on a
genocide.
much
Yes.
slower level. It's like, go read the Georgia Guidestones. I
Yeah,
mean,
Georgia Guys, exactly.
of these people, they plan it. This is what they want. We can't explain, I understand how you feel, I support you 100%, but they're pumping hormones in this shit. We got to make it stop, because it's making me feel funny too. Now we've got birth control that's not working
Yes.
because of the hormones that are already in the food. This
Yes.
is a problem. So we're going to have, statistics are going to jump for teen pregnancies, for
Yes.
abortions, for
Yes.
adoptive children, for CPS, for all these things. Nobody's looking at the bigger picture of why. How did it happen? It doesn't just happen. I mean, this is planned. It's a planned agenda. Some things do happen naturally, don't get me wrong,
Sure.
but not this fast, not this accurate, not in stages like this. Perfectly and precisely planned out, the agenda, separate everyone, give everyone their own label, their own group, their own identity, and that keeps us separate, because then nobody knows what I'm feeling, right?
Exactly.
That's what we do. You would never understand unless you were me. You would never understand unless you're depressed. You would never understand unless you lived in this neighborhood. You would never understand unless you're Catholic, right? I mean, we do this all day, all the time, to each other. And so at the same time, we're censoring ourselves. Like you said, we are stopping the conversation. This is what bothers me about people on social media, when they say stuff like, if you don't agree with me, unfriend me. If you don't like it, unfriend me. And it's
Yes.
like, come on, where are we drawing the line here? You want everybody to feel and think the same way as you?
Yes.
I mean, what does that solve? I
Exactly.
want to be challenged as a human being. Maybe I'm not looking at something right. Maybe I am being egotistical about some
Yes.
things. Maybe I'm letting my experience guide me, and I'm not looking at the bigger picture of things. And a lot of people don't have the balls to ask themselves that. It's scary going up against the government. It's not, I mean, you got to win.
Exactly.
Nobody, we all got our nerves like you're going to have a heart attack in court. If anybody's ever gone up against a judge and actually won, we're talking about some aggressive feelings there. Because
Yeah,
you
yeah, I
want to
know
say
a
all
couple
these
of them.
things.
I know a couple of them.
Yeah, you got to control yourself, right? We can't go in there like, fuck you, I didn't do it. No, you got to beat them at their own game. Strategically educate yourself to play their game and win.
Yes,
That's the only way. I mean, and we got
exactly.
to really learn all this. Everything we're talking about right now needs to be at the front and foremost of our discussions, you know?
Exactly. You know, most people talk about Gandhi. They say, like, you know, be like Gandhi, be like, okay, what people don't know about Gandhi is this. Ready for it?
He killed his wife.
He was a lawyer.
Yeah.
Lawyer. He
Yeah.
knew the British law back and forth. He used their own laws against them. And here's the funny part: they couldn't break the law. They was just, you know, because basically it was their own game, you know.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Learn this stuff.
Yeah.
Learn this stuff. Know where you are. Know where you are and what is. Because lots of people talk about what they want. Right? That's beautiful. But what is most important part of what could be. If you don't know what is, how do you want to create what should be or could be?
Exactly.
Or what you want to,
Exactly.
you know? So, um, like I
And
said,
Gandhi didn't wasn't his wife. She had a disease or something, and I think he refused modern day medicine, and she
yes,
died. And then
yes,
he got sick, and he chose the modern day medicine. You know,
exactly.
so that's kind of hypocrisy that we're talking about. We see that with Bill Gates. We see that with all of these, like you said, these TV fake camera doctors, Dr. Oz, the doctor. It's all fake. It's for show. None of those people vaccinate their kids.
No,
But they're on live television getting flu shots, which
yes.
is probably just some saline. Let's be honest,
Anyone,
you know? So, I mean, it's a joke, man. It's a joke.
yeah,
Like you said, we need to, you know, use these things to our benefit, and that's how we get better.
exactly,
Because when we're constantly just fighting, there's still sheep that don't get it.
exactly,
They're still falling for it, you know? So there's got to be a collaboration somewhere where we can all start looking at the bigger picture of things and
absolutely,
stopping it. For me on a local level, I don't like these farms growing GMO crops. I call them
exactly,
out every time I can, and I'm going to continue to because they're selling food to the people that are in these small eateries that are putting organic on their menu.
yeah,
And I got news for them: GMO feed is not organic.
no,
You know? So what do you do? I mean, it's local. So then, oh, well, it's local. Yes, I support that. You know, so am I being a hypocrite? There's where those questions come
yes,
up.
yes,
Yeah, they're right. It is local. Do I support that even though I know they're doing dirty stuff? You know, I mean, it's hard. It's so hard.
yeah, they made it
And
very hard. Yes,
yeah, so we gotta join forces.
yes,
I mean, on all points of the
and
field, not just against police and against the government, but against the food industry, against the medical field, against these infiltrators that think that they have power in our own communities. You
yeah,
know, these city councilmen and these judges and court officials, they're nothing either. You know, they're so stuck by the book that their profession and their title allows them superiority over you. That's how they look at it.
exactly.
They don't even want to, that's what you're saying. They don't want to hear you. That's why it's ego. You know, it's all ego. It's, well, I got a title and I went to school and this and that. And it's like, I mean, so, you know, I
Yeah,
spend 8 hours a day on the internet. How long did
yeah,
you spend here? You know, I mean, you're not going to trust me when I'm saying is accurate, that I'm really looking into these things while you're out 8 hours a day working for some fuck that don't give a shit about you.
exactly.
I'm trying to help us all. You know what I mean? I'm dedicating my time into something that is worthwhile, that I can teach my kids not to fall for this shit, you know?
Exactly.
And hopefully those generations are coming. Like we
Absolutely.
we are going to put the stamp on the world for individual accountability,
Yes.
individual responsibility that
Responsibility.
starts with you in
Yes.
your home, and then we can span out into communities after that. And then we can start to crush down all these other barriers and walls. But it's got to start with us first.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Literally on an individual level. You got to get rid of those labels. I was raised Catholic. It took me decades
Yes.
to free myself. from the tyranny of religion. And I'm kind of glad that I got to see from a Catholic point of view, because they're still under Roman control. They're one of the worst ones that there is. So for me to feel my way out of that corruption, it's like I see all of it, now. And you already know, once you're awake, it's really hard not to see from your mind to know. I know that logo. I know that game. We heard that before. So what's going to happen now? Like, all these cops are going to have COVID. What, they're going to mysteriously disappear? I mean, come on. We know. And then they need a new staged event. So what happens there? They've been talking about schools in the fall. Are we going to have a mass shooting? I mean, people really need to be aware of what is going to happen next, because they're not going to stop. We got 4 more years. Okay. It's happening. It's already been in the books before, decades before now. So what are we going to do in 4 years to join forces in the streets, boots on the ground?
Exactly.
Fuck the establishment. They're going to play their games anyway. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Are we going to take back our country?
No, I mean,
let them play us like fools.
Give in. Yes, you're not going to give in. And we need to also live. We don't live. We don't live. We're always in rush. Like I said, you always want to make it happen right away because of the media. The media in the movie is like boom, 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 boom. Versus, life is slow. Life, the seconds, the minutes, every minute, every second is precious. Is precious. You need to sit at your neighbor's porch, drink your lemonade, talk, interact with them, talk about the book you read, or even if it is not the book, even if it's something that you came up with last night when you were like couldn't sleep, talk about it. But they don't want us to do that. They want us to have, now look at it, the AI is creating a smart companion for man. Like I just posted that companionship companion, we are getting inside of their prison, and we are in their prison, but we kind of the hallway. We're not yet there. But if we don't pay attention to the warnings that our forefathers left for us, I'm not just talking about the American forefathers. I'm talking about all nations forefathers.
Yes.
We're going to end up in one of those nightmares, sci-fi nightmares. Talking 1984.
Yes.
Okay, so it's just a fantastic book, but this is happening now. Can you see the connection between the characters of the book and what is going on right now? It was an entertaining book. We keep saying that, entertaining.
Yes.
Nothing is for entertainment. Nothing. Everything has a meaning. The symbol that you see behind me has a meaning. I didn't just pick it up. Let's just put it there, because I didn't know how to, draw. So I could just draw circles, I put it there. No, everything has a meaning. Every color, everything. So people need to understand that.
Right.
When we talk about, hey, smoking causes cancer. And I know there are lots of people say, I know, but see, I have no choice.
We're gonna die anyway. That's what they say.
Yeah, and listen to this. This is liberty. I respect that. Maybe he wants to die early. I don't know. He's not committing suicide. He just, he knows that, and he's smoking anyway.
Yes.
Different, because that tells me, basically he's doing something based on knowledge, not based on ignorance. What grinds my gears is when they don't want people to know what is bad or what is good.
Right.
That is the part that I have problem with. If they just come out and say on the package that this food has been made by a GMO corn and GMO, crops are bad for you and cause cancer or tumor or whatever, I didn't have any problem with that. Because
Mhm.
I say, hey, people, those people who eat it, don't know about it. What pisses me off is that they don't let people know. And,
Right.
you know, but that being said, people also have responsibility. They need to, the reason that they have been able to do this to us is our own laziness.
Yes.
Because I hear people say, ah, this is too complicated. I pay my rep, with
Yeah.
my tax money to do that. No, when you hire a plumber, don't let the plumber do whatever the hell he's doing. Go and
Right.
take a look at supervising. What is he
Yeah.
doing? Is he just showing his butt crack? Or,
Right.
he's doing something. Maybe he's putting out some of your stuff, maybe some good faucet that you have, or some good parts, and replace it with some crappy ones. You know, go, and this is your job. When you do things like that and you just walk away, who knows what he's doing with your wife or husband, vice versa. And, so you have to be careful. Even if you hire someone, you have to supervise that person. Same with Congress, same with representatives. Yes, it's beautiful that we're living in this type of societies, but we shouldn't just walk away and say, well, they know what they're doing. No, they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
I was your neighbor few days ago. Like, for instance, Chief Shabbat was hanging out with uh, Jim Condit Jr., that, No, no, I'm serious. They were like buddy, buddy. They would go and drink and, have lunch and dinner together. Today, you cannot recognize this Steve Shabbat. He's changed. He's not the
Right.
same Jim Condit Jr. anymore, because that's what power does to you. You know,
Yes.
when you are in secret meetings with high level security people, high level national security people, and you open a file that it says super confidential. You feel, oh, I'm someone, what that does to you. That's why
Right.
you don't talk about it. You don't want to talk about certain political things, you know. Mm, you don't want to talk about, let's say, Israel, for instance, and you don't want to talk about certain things. You don't want to talk about what Monsanto. You don't want to talk about, uh, black box. You don't want to talk about the hive mind. All these projects and technologies. You don't want to talk about Taiwan.
Mhm.
No, you don't talk about Taiwan. Why? Because otherwise the communist China is going to destroy you. Because what is Taiwan? Taiwan is basically a country of free, liberated Chinese. That who are not communists, who are not slaves. So, but unfortunately, it happens. So you have to, first of all, when they reach to that point, you just have to ask them, thank you so very much for your service, but it's time for instance, Jim Condit Jr. to become, a state rep, or, basically congressman, or even senator,
Yeah.
because this is the nature of, this is nature. What happens to a stagnated water? It turns to swamp. And I guess, like, President Trump wanted to drain the swamp. And that was a great analogy. And it needs to be replaced with fresh water. And you're absolutely right. how can we do that if we are not refreshing our own ponds with fresh water? So you're absolutely right. And I think that, we are almost at 5 p.m. And any last thing to add to our conversation?
Um, just everybody pay attention. You know, like I said, I see a lot of, oh, if you don't agree with me, get out of here. And that's not helping anything. You're being a part of the problem by not attempting to educate those people, and then challenge yourself. This is what I'm saying about how hard it is and about fear. Don't think for 1 second, if you can't deal with the shit on Facebook, that you'll ever be able to stand in front of a judge
Yeah.
and stick up for your rights. So you've got to be uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
It's completely uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And it's like, you just have to at least try.
Yeah.
At least try to learn what we're supposed to be and what we really are.
Yeah.
Because they've infiltrated everything that's supposed to be clean and free.
Yeah.
We don't have it anymore. We can get it back. I think now is the perfect time to get it back.
Yes.
We certainly don't need to go on like this.
Yes.
We haven't been completely successful yet. So
Exactly.
obviously it's not working. People are saying, oh, it's been hundreds and hundreds of years. We need a new tactic, guys.
Yes.
We need a new plan. We need a new idea, and I don't believe in multiple plans. I don't know who said you never need a plan B because it distracts you from plan A. And I get that, but we don't even have a plan A.
To begin.
So we need to do something.
Absolutely.
We need to do something. We need to get it together, feel uncomfortable, challenge yourself, ask questions, seek answers, because I can't tell you how predictable these statists are. I know what they're going to say before they say it. I know their whole argument before they argue it. And that is a huge issue here. We're not even talking anymore. What these little phones have done is make us feel so uncomfortable in society.
Yes.
Feel like we don't belong anywhere. We've divided ourselves by labels and groups, and this is the only time we feel comfortable, is when we're scrolling in our own minds and seeing things that play our ego and our feelings.
Exactly.
But we're not taking a big step back and saying, you know what? We got to look at this shit. And it's real simple to see now with people that are in the streets and the people that aren't in the streets.
Yes.
Because the media is full of shit. There's
Absolutely.
no mainstream channel that is accurate. There are plenty of alt channels and alt resources. You're one of them, but you're not on the air every day. So if you see a channel that's on there every day, it's bullshit.
Yes. Yes.
They're funded. I mean, where's all this money coming from? It's not easy to do this.
And my channel was fighting with their channels, like in the past and now and in future, always. People need to be informed, not to be deceived. That's the difference.
Right.
People need to know, but not to be deceived, and they're deceiving people. You're absolutely right.
Right. So I say, everyone, be vigilant and pay attention to everyone. Ask questions. Don't single yourself out. Quit singling your friends out.
Mm-hmm.
There should be no friendships destroyed here. We're going the wrong way. And because when you start kicking your friends out, then you're on a side.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I stand by my anarchy, and I will, because there are no sides. We see you got Republicans like, oh, you must be a Democrat, and you're like, no. Or you
No.
Democrat, oh, you must be a Republican, no.
It happens to me a lot.
Like, you're even worse. You're even worse. You're worse than my enemy. That's what they're saying.
Yes.
When they want you to pick a side and you say that you're not their enemy, they think you're worse than them. I mean, what is this? This is complete psychological mismanagement, and it's an illusion. We got to get it together, guys. We got to get it together.
Absolutely. I thank you so much, for your time. And I know that it was a time that you were spending with your children.
I'm at my mom's, so
That's-
I'm here a lot.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So you're
I'm not missing that. These are my nieces and nephews and my kids. And
oh, awesome. And
it's all good.
you're under the sun, fresh
Yeah.
air, and you know that you were swimming. And this is beautiful. People,
Yeah.
by the way, you need to get out and be under the sun because, you know, sun is, you know, first of all, is the only source of energy in our solar system.
Yes.
Not only that, it kills the germs. It makes you very happy because you know your pineal gland is being basically activated by the sunlight. You know,
Yes.
and that's why you can sleep at night well. You know, because it's, you know, the pineal gland secretes you know, melatonin at night. So it's great. It, you know, creates also D3 for, you know, you don't catch cold or you don't get osteoporosis. You know, so thank you again for being with us. I hope this is not the last time. And you know,
Yes. No, thank you.
you
Thank
know,
you.
you're
Awesome
welcome.
conversation. We need many more. Many more.
Absolutely. And you know, I invite everybody who, you know, disagrees with me, come on the show. And you know, because if you remember when I had the echo and the
Yes.
9/11 panels also, you
Yeah.
had all kind of people.
Yeah.
You know, you had basically communist sympathizers, and then next to it was a Christian, next to it was a libertarian, the other one was a patriot, you know, all
Yeah.
kind of people, and
Yeah.
anarchists, you know. So, you know, I want something like that again, and you know, so don't be a stranger, and you know, come to my show, every one of you guys, even if you, but as long as you believe in liberty, you know, you're welcome. But I don't know what to do with those who don't believe in liberty. You know,
Right.
they have lessons to learn before to come to this show, maybe, you know. But anyway, thank you again, Carly.
Yep.
Malum, I can never say your last name.
Malumbi. Yes.
Malumbai. Yes, Malumbai.
Malumbi.
Malumbi. It's just like
Yeah.
Kiani. Lots of people say Kianai. I said, no, it's Kiani. Malumbi.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Y or an I.
Yes, they say, yeah. But thank you so much for being on the show. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this show. And we will come back with more information they want you to know.